How about this? So, a husband's role is to provide for and protect for his family, right? We agree? We agree? But what does that look like when you say protect your family, protect your spouse in general? Today, we're going to get into it. So, before you leave, we're going to talk about, man, what is it? Because we've been married 15 years. I don't know if we ever had the conversation of, like, what does it look like to, like, what are your expectations when they say protect, right? We mean like somebody break in, of course, but what happens is you saw Will, you saw Jay, you saw Chris, Rock, you saw the whole thing. The broader conversation we were talking about right after it happened, like who's right, who's wrong, we'll get into it today. Slap or not to slap, how do you protect your spouse in all situations? In all situations. So to kick it off, question for today. If something goes down, and you feel disrespected, how do you want your spouse to respond? If something go down, how do you want your spouse to respond? What would you say?
If something were to go down, how would I want my spouse to respond?
If something goes down, how do you want your spouse? How do you want me to respond? All situations. Have we had the conversation before?
We kind of had the conversation before. I know, and I can only speak for me and our situation. I know before in the past, some people have disrespected me.
Okay. You want me to slap?
No, I would have liked for you to have addressed it. And I believe, I was so, you've been too sensitive, and I think, so I believe, so it was some conversation had there, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
But I guess in regards to this particular incident that has taken place between Will and Chris Rock, I believe to a certain extent that both parties, I believe it's a time and place for everything.
Who is wrong? Your initial thought process. We had this conversation already a little bit. We haven't talked about the depth of what we're trying to get to today. But who is wrong in that situation? Will, Jada, or Chris? Who's your first initial thought?
I believe my initial thought.
Yeah, what's your initial thought?
My initial thought is Will is wrong.
Okay. Why?
And the reason why I say that is we are assuming that Chris Rock was if you guys, I guess a lot of people have been stating, well, Jada, she has alopecia.
I didn't know.
And the thing about it is, so we're assuming that Chris Rock knew that she had alopecia. Yeah. Well, alopecia runs in my family, so I understand the whole alopecia thing, right?
What is alopecia?
So basically, alopecia is the hair loss. Okay. So my thing is, it starts off, so it's baldness, and so basically it ends up making women bald for the most part. Okay. So it's something. Some people say it's hereditary, and like I say, my grandmother had it. Like I know, like it's in my family, so I get that, right? Okay. So that's the reason why for my grandmother, she wore wigs. Okay. Right. So again, I'm talking about something that I know, so don't come for me because we already experienced it in my family. Okay. So my thing is though, we assume that Chris Rock, because they said she talked about it on Table Talk, all of that stuff. See, I didn't know that because let me put it out there for the women. Most women are going bald. That's a new trend, right? Most women, especially after the Black Panther movie, a lot of the women shave their hair. Like Jada has always wore her hair short, you know what I'm saying? So I think we make an assumption that Chris Rock knew, and they're saying, oh, he wasn't being sensitive, all of that stuff. Okay, even if he knew, does that constitute him, Will, putting his hand on somebody? And this is the thing, I'm all about defending your significant other. I've defended you, right? My thing is, people have come to me stating Jeff shouldn't say this, I have defended Jeff, right? But it does not give me the right to go and slap people because they're stating stuff that you shouldn't, you know what I'm saying? It does not give people the right. I tell my kids, you don't put your hands on nobody.
That's what you say. That's what you.
And my thing is, now, if it was one of those situations where they fighting, you know what I'm saying, or Chris Rock went to put his hands on Jada, definitely that's when. But I'm like, first of all, don't embarrass me in front of company. We are at the award show, right? This was okay, and keep in mind, this was major for us as a race, right? Will Packard was the producer. He did a great job. Salute to Will Packard. He did a producer. Like it was it was like trying to get more diversity, all of that stuff. Like kudos to Will. He was getting like something that was such the biggest night of his life. One of the biggest nights of his life, right? He had a lot of big nights, but one of the biggest nights of his life, he been an award, been nominated, right? Mm-hmm. But it turned. I'm gonna jump. It turned. Like, I think for me, it's just like, I get it, y'all. I get it. People have come from me. They come from my family. I get it. And I think, but the thing about it is people come for people all the time, right? And I think sometimes in being a leadership role, it's like, and I get it, people's like, you know. Are they in leadership role? Are they in leadership role? Well, I mean, like being in the limelight. Oh, okay. Being in the limelight. Okay. Being in the limelight, right? So they're in the light, right? And I get it. But a lot of stuff was put out there because they put it out there. Gotcha. You see what I'm saying? Like a lot of the stuff with the whole red table and all the stuff with August and all of that stuff. And I get, and I get everything. But I guess in this instance, in this particular instance, I do believe Will could have defended his wife, but I believe it could have been handled in a totally different light. He could have been like, man, we need to talk to each other after the show. Even if he want to say anything, we need to talk to each other. Mm-hmm. But my thing is, and my heart felt compassion on both parties. And let me tell you why. Okay. My heart felt compassion on Chris because you could tell that man had tears in his eyes. Because first of all, he probably if you got slapped,
if your nose get hit or your funny bone, it's
gonna or anything that's what's going to happen. Like my heart felt compassion because first of all, you are being slapped in front of millions of people. Now in the world of social media, it's gonna be played over and over again, right? So number 3, I'm sure him and Will, they consider themselves as friends, associates. I don't know what the thing is, but what I'm saying is they've been in pictures before. Yeah, they're cool, right? At the end of the day, so he probably have a mutual respect for Will and Jada, right? So my thing is, he probably like, man, what did I do? And I'm sure, like as a comedian, you practice your stuff. You try to make sure. Mm-hmm. That you try to be respectful, and it was a G.I. Jane joke. Like he literally was like,
but with the alopecia thing, it jumped back to that.
But and again, like he was like, and he started out with Jada, I love you, and I'm sure, like I said, Jada, her expression was like she rolled her eyes, and if you go back and look at it, and I shared this with you, Will laughed, but then when it cut back to Rock. Something was stated, and then that's when he went up on the stage.
Okay, so to sum it up, you're saying Will is to blame for the situation. I'm going to go with Jada. Jada is to blame for this whole situation. I'm gonna tell you why Jada is to blame for this whole situation is because that Will didn't want to do what he did yesterday or whatever it was on Oscar night. Will didn't want to do it. Mm-hmm. Will saw like you said, he laughed and he looked at Jada, and this is where it comes down to. Mm-hmm. That conversation had not been had before, and if Jada is Will's spouse, mm-hmm. they've been married for X number of years. You know the past history of what he's going through. You look at the I think the YouTube docuseries of the best shape of my life, whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. He goes in and he says, man, coming up, he saw his dad punch his mom in the mouth until she had blood in her mouth. And he said one of his worst things was he saw it and he felt like he could do nothing. He felt like he was a coward into the extent. And so when Will went up there and slapped Chris Rock, he didn't just slap Chris Rock.
He slapped everybody.
Yeah. He slapped them folks who put the meme out. He
slapped everybody that went against him. Yes. Everything.
Yes. Yeah. I posted a video on my page, and then afterwards though, I didn't get the middle piece because they bleeped this part out. The other countries did not bleep it out. He said, "Keep my wife's name out your effing mouth," as we get to this. And I think is after he won that award though, he broke down. I thought about, man, you know what? That's a conversation.
He's hurt.
Oh, no doubt about that. But I'm saying that's a conversation that Will and Jada have never had, and most couples haven't had either, to the extent of what's your expectation when you feel disrespected? Because there's a point, you just said it yourself, like he didn't feel from his reaction. I don't know what he thought, whatever.
He acted in emotions. He acted in emotions, yeah.
I would even push further, even saying that he saw, okay, I'm laughing because as a comedian myself, right? I've thrown my feelings away almost to an extent, right? So like you can joke on me, whatever. I'm fine with it because I've become secure in myself. Mm-hmm. I don't know what like I don't know what my family members or anything like that, would be in that same place. Maybe it's similar, maybe it's different, maybe specific things like you said, alopecia. I don't know if he was joking specifically about that. If he said that and then made the joke, maybe that's different.
Yeah,
maybe
like I can see if he like went in about alopecia, right?
Yeah, but he didn't.
But he didn't. He was like, Jayla, and I got it verbatim. Jayla, I love you. Yeah. I'm waiting on you to play the new G.I. Jane movie, right? Yeah, sure. Well, for those who are not familiar, G.I. Jane, her hair is bald, right? Yeah. So my thing is, so for the other people who play G.I. Jane, like,
yeah, well, that was. So
and so, but again, I believe that slap was everything that built up from everything from August, everything from his relationship with Jada, everything with his mom. I think it was everything. Rose, he didn't get. It was anger.
It was a trauma response. Yeah. But even if you heard what he's saying, he's trying to protect his family. What he's doing is trying to protect his family. And so I just thought about this. What was the car ride like going home after the Oscars with just them two? Let's role play that. I've told you this time. What's the role play like? I'll be Will, you be Jada. Get in the car. We finna role play this. If you we just gonna role play it out to see what.
I don't know, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't want to speculate, right? I really don't want to speculate. But what I will say is,
tell you what, because I want to get in this. That's us. That's us on the ride home. You be yourself. So I just slapped Chris Rock. We ain't never going back to the Oscars again. That's our first.
Let's go ahead right there. Yeah.
Over the grand close. So we're driving home. So you got to speculate this. We drive home.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And if you done slap, I'm gonna say first of all, for me personally.
No, just role play it out.
For me personally.
Okay, just talk to me like you.
I feel like you embarrassed me tonight.
I embarrassed you?
Yes.
I did that for you. I slapped him for you. I was laughing. But I looked at you. You took it offense.
It's a time and a place for everything.
And that's the point. You ain't never. So this is what you used to tell me. You used to date Tupac, and you was going back and forth. You talking about how Tupac would do. If Tupac was sitting there, what would Tupac have done? And so now I'm putting a 6-second decision, making a decision. I got to defend my wife or go home, and then I ask you what's wrong, and you say what? Nothing. And then 2 weeks later, I find out you should have said something quick. Okay, you should have slapped him in the face. I did what your future self would have told you to do that for me.
I don't know about any of that, but I would say this. I mean, I get what you're saying. Okay. But I'm just stating this.
Is it true or not? Is it facts or not?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just stating that I just feel like it's a time and a place. So we're just going to leave it at there. But let's get back to the real scenario.
That's the point.
Yeah. But let's just get back to the real scenario here. Another point that I want to bring up is, like, where was security? Like, was it one of those things where they was like, oh, let's just see where this goes? Like,
most definitely. Well,
did they think? Because I think one time before, didn't Will kiss somebody on a show before? Like I don't know. I was kind of confused. I was like, where was security? Did nobody try to like?
I don't think they wanted to be that type of like. You don't have.
So you think everybody was shocked that he was?
You wouldn't think nobody's ever walked up and tried to do something to the extent. So all right, so. The main conversation piece is like, what do you expect to do? I think Will was expecting that's what Jada wanted him to do. If not, he would have never got there and slapped Chris Rock's face. But I would preface to say that they've never had the conversation. Like most couples have never had the conversation. And if you sitting right beside your boy, they at work, or you around the way you walking, or you at work, whatever, you thinking, man, we've never had that conversation before. If something comes up, and then what's disrespectful to you may not be disrespectful to me. We had a situation at Texas Roadhouse. That was like we talked about this, right? That was on the other side of the table. I was sitting on one side, you guys were sitting on the other side. There was an older Caucasian lady who said something, I think, about the kids making noise.
My
or
son.
Something. About the kids making noise.
Yeah, and at the time he was like 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So
he was a baby.
So quickly, just in that piece of it of saying. She said something to him or said something to y'all or something.
Yeah, basically what she stated was you need to control your child. So basically it was, okay, if everybody who's been to Texas Roadhouse, it was a group of 20 of us. My daughter had just finished her dance recital, so it was a big group of us, right? But if you've been to Texas Roadhouse, it is the loudest place you can ever go to. They have music going. They're constantly saying, "Attention, Texas Roll House. We have Jeffrey Mr. Birthday today.
Yeah,
let's give him a big." I mean, it's loud. The lady, she was sitting beside us. Basically, the ladies was like, "You need to control your child." So of course, my cousin was there, and she was playing with Jace and all of that stuff. And so she was like, "You need to control your child." And it was a lady. I think, I'm not gonna speculate, but she came off as racist, right? And she was like, "You need to control your child. You need to control that boy. First of all, you are white, and you cannot be saying to me, control that boy." Okay. So my thing is, that was a red flag to me. So anyway, I end up, I addressed it. I was like, "Ma'am, like, this place is very loud in here. You cannot sit here and tell me that my child, who is under 2, is bothering you when it's this loud music. There's a whole bunch of people in here," because it was a Saturday afternoon. So, so even after it happened, I shared this with Jeff. Like, I was like, even after it happened, I was like, I felt like that he didn't come to my
and I was like, And so my response was like, okay, I'm on the other end. I didn't even know what was happening in regards to it. So I'm hearing you say there was an expectation from me in that situation. And I was like, well, let me get the facts, when you walking up. I think in those situations, like, unless you're just coming in saying, "Hey, I'm just about to," I don't know what would be the expected response, but I thought that was a great example. We think about this, like, okay, okay, well, what happened? What was the situation? Trying to get information and facts and whatnot. What I heard from you, or what I perceived to hear, was, "Oh, you should have," or "I would have liked for you to have, did this or done that," in extent. And I thought, I was like, man, this is a similar situation, because my expectation is like, okay, if nobody's physically harming, or there's no situation that I've heard from, I can gather information and then make a decision in that point in time. And I think, especially if one person is more emotional, or both people try to get to that place. So like, if Jada's there, so if she sees Will, get ready to come up, like, somebody has to be the calmer head in an emotional situation. Because if not, if both of us ready to pop off, "Oh, you got the gun, I'm gonna bring the grenade. We're gonna throw it in." But if that's not,
so do you believe in this situation? Do you believe they both had the hot head?
No, I think Jada was truly offended with that. I think she took it in. I mean, personally wise, Will was laughing. I think he looked at the response and saying,
"Oh, wow,
I've made a personal thing to protect my family at this portion of my life. I've made some decisions before. I could not protect my mom. I saw her get beat and abused. I could not protect them. I'm going to stand. This is my time right now to show my lady that I love her, and we're moving this next season of life as a protect, like we named in the beginning, the husband to provide and protect for your wife. I'm about to do that right now. I don't care what role I lose. I don't care nothing. The main thing, I'm going to start putting my family first instead of putting business first. Instead, I think it all came out in that sense. I think Chris Rock was just he got the money in of it. That was the needle on the haystack. It just broke out of the thing. But I think for us though, like, what's the expectation in those moments? So like, quick question I want to ask was, okay, if you feel someone has disrespected you, how do you typically respond? So these questions, if you're listening and watching right now, these are questions you can talk about, ask each other, and think about that. When I want to think about just yourself personally. This is for me and for you, real quick. A quick response. If you feel someone has disrespected you, how do you typically respond? You respond in, you like, I got eye for an eye. Do you respond in, like, I typically logically think back through it? Like, how do you typically respond to, like, when you feel disrespected? Do you get loud? Do you get quiet? Do you isolate? Do you like conflict? Do you walk away from conflict? So,
well, I think for me, and it's so crazy. Let me tell you, and that's why I was really looking to the scripture, right? Because it's so crazy. We just had this conversation on Friday, right? We had a
you was ready for the slap. You was ready for the slap.
No, we had a call because no. We had a call though, but it was talking about how you should respond to people. Oh, 1 second. I wish I could find it. Oh, I wish I would have been prepared for that. But anyway, it was basically talking about how you have to like pray for your enemies, right? You don't how you pray for your enemies, how like you don't pray for their fall either, right?
Oh yeah,
sure. You know, so love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you, right? Mm-hmm. So my thing is, so it used to be, and I'm still a work in progress, but it used to be, because I'm gonna tell y'all something. I love y'all Baptist people, but sometimes the church people could be the most disrespectful. I'm just saying, I'm just being sometimes, because especially working in ministry and leadership, they feel like, well, you have to do this. They could talk to you any type of way. I've had people tell me, oh my goodness, are you pregnant? And I'm not pregnant. Oh, you need to lose some weight. Man. Like just criticize me, right? So a couple of things that come to my mind. Is, first of all, so I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. So first of all, I just feel like for me, I had to really take a step back, because at first it makes me sad. You know what I'm saying? It makes me want to go off. It wants me, but then I have to think about, man, I'm a reflection of him, right? I'm a reflection of him. And so therefore, I can't say what Dana wants to say, right? Okay. So I really have to suppress flesh on a daily basis, right? So I'm constantly have to pray through that, and like really now there is you just have to pray for it, and like, you know, just try to move through it and all of that stuff. But that's the reason why I found somebody that I could vent to and be like, hey Jeff, you're not gonna believe what such and such said, da 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 da, you know, because I would love to go off, but my heart, I become more compassionate, like, man, well, maybe they having a bad day, or maybe they're just displacing their anger, something that happened, they displacing their anger on me. Mm-hmm. You know, I have people tell me, oh, you think you're perfect, all of that stuff, and I'm just like, child, I'm just trying to make it just like everybody else is. Or they see stuff on social media and be like, I have people count my coins and tell me, y'all shouldn't go on vacations that much, you always going. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I was saying.
I tell folks, try Jesus, don't try me. I think I feel you on that. I think pray for your enemy, but I think in those moments, like you said, of trying to be, that's the point of getting to. I also believe in, I'm gonna teach people how to treat me out of the situation. So I'm gonna try to get you correct in a very nice and mannerable way. I just think I'm just not finna be, just no, you're not finna know. You gonna know, like, hey, all right, well, I might not rock with Jeff no more, and that's fine. And I'm good with it. I think once I got to a point that I'm good with who I am, if I offend you with who I am, then I'm not for everybody. So I think with that, but I think when somebody gets offended, I think just that piece of trying to go. So first question is, if you feel disrespected, how you should respond, and then how do you expect me to respond when that happens? So when you feel disrespected, so in that case, we'll probably like, oh, this is a joke. As a comedian, or you've been in comedy, you've been in acting and whatnot, you got to let some stuff roll past, but they are human in a sense. And so something that could be said to you, I might not find offensive in that case. So it's like having that conversation of what do I do in those moments that it comes up that I may not know what happens there. So having that conversation though before it comes up, because then, like we said, it's like Texas Roadhouse, you may be expecting me to do something, and I'm thinking, oh, it's not really a big deal. Like, this lady about to die. That's what I'm thinking. Like, this lady might die on the way out the door. I just think. So I'm thinking it's not necessarily a big deal, but there may be an expectation on the other end. I think there was definitely expectation on Oscar Knight to go and slap. Well, I wouldn't say slap. He was laughing at. Make Jada's face, okay? Make Jada's face. I gotta go out here because I know I go home and hear something back in this situation. So wherever you are, you could be in Chile, you could be out in the block, you could have somebody say something. What's disrespect you, and what do you expect from me to do about that? Last thing, how did your childhood lead us to where we are in that place, right? So knowing what you've done in childhood situation, how you handle or didn't handle conflict as a child, how your parents handled child, those things impact who and what you're going to do when conflict happens. So.
Yeah. But honestly, and I will put it out there, and y'all can disagree with me. Honestly, I don't even think that Joe had nothing to do with her alopecia. It had everything to do with G.I. Jane, the actual character. I mean, and he probably felt like this is Oscar. Everybody is characters, right? Actors, actresses. Yeah. So I don't believe it had anything to do with it. But I guess it just goes to show, I watch sometimes some reality TV, and they always say people's spouses, people children, and people mamas are off limits.
I said that. No. The point I made is three things that I can speak for men in general. Yeah. Because I said the first thing is they wife or they main gal, they mama, they mama knows anything about their mama because it hurt. It hurt it here, and then the third one, they chick. Don't mess their chick up when it comes to it. It's gonna be a problem. They want some type of solution right then. If your response is not in the way that I feel like your response needs to be, it's gonna be a problem. And also too, this is just a good thing I'm saying. Like, are you holding any pent up anger inside too? Like being able to get to a place you ever release that before you get pent up. Maybe you're upset with your spouse like that, and you won't slap them like Whisper like people. And being able to talk about stuff that's hard to talk about. I think
and like I said, I felt compassion for both. My heart really broke for Chris Rock because he was the one that was definitely like, imagine somebody that you respect coming and slap you.
I respect Will. I love. Will can slap me any day because I'm going on tour with them.
So Chris Rock, hopefully your PR person is making you about to go big.
Take me on tour with you, Chris.
Yeah, I got some jokes. But I would say that I just think I think one thing, Will is hurt. I think he needs to address that. So let's start there. Will is hurt about all this pressure, everything he's been done from his childhood to his wife to him, his everything, his infidel, everything. Like, so I think he needs to address that. Number one. Number two, I do believe, because I always believe in how can we rectify the situation, right? So number one, I think he needs to speak to a counselor. I think that red table stuff, like they're not. I think they need to go beyond and have some deep. They need some spiritual counseling.
He said he was. He said he's doing some.
So he needs spiritual counseling, and I think he needs emotional counseling, and mental counseling. So that's number one. Number two, I feel like that him and Chris need to have a conversation. I believe it was one of those things that I think that could have been a private conversation. I think they need.
We gotta let him slap him back. Go on. That's the only way. Put your face out there and let him just. Slap the tape.
So I believe number two, I do believe a conversation needs to be had, and I do believe he needs to issue an official apology. I do. Like, kudos to Chris Rock for not pressing charges, all of that stuff.
That's hood rule. You can't.
So I'm just saying kudos to him because he could have.
I'll still be laying out there. If Will Smith slapped me, I can't move. My toes don't function anymore. My organs stop functioning.
But even if you go back and because I watched the whole thing, and even when you go back to look at it, like it really threw Chris off. Like he was we're about to award the documentary of the year, and he was it just threw him off. Like so but definitely praying for the whole situation. Like,
and talk to y'all and had a conversation with your mate about what your expectation is. Jada, you did this. You set Will off to do this. Now Will still has to have that thing, even when your lady may be emotional. Because you got to be like, okay, I got to be the one that kind of that doesn't get out of that place to get there. So, So if you argue through this episode, you disagree, you still don't know where you're at this place. Have some.
But have the conversation. I think the main thing is talk to your spouse to say, hey, what does this look like me defending you? For me, you defended me by slapping somebody unless we are actually like, you try to protect me, they got a gun, or they actually fighting me. That's one thing. But for
Texas Roadhouse, what did you want me to do? Did you want me to slap that old lady?
No, absolutely not.
Knock the
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think, and one thing what I appreciate, and I felt compassion for her husband. That's probably the reason why I didn't. And then my family is about it. So they always about to be riled up anyway.
They're going to kill her. And they wanted me to kill her too.
But I would say I felt compassion for her husband because her husband was trying to de-escalate. He was like, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Women?
Women be women, as they say.
But no, love on yourself. So we're going to end with the Mr. Mantra. And we didn't even introduce ourselves. I'm Mr. aka Jeffrey Mr. Right beside you. Already know who we are.
Yes. Mrs. Mr. aka Dana Mr. And together we are
the Misters. We have a goal of reaching 7 million couples to like and love each other. So if you want to be a part of that, join us on this journey. Thank y'all for listening,
every
watching,
Tuesday.
wherever you're going at this point every Tuesday. So Mr. Muncher, you look at your spouse, you tell them these 3 things. I like you, I love you, and I want you. Lean in and get a little. Might lead you to a little bit of yams. You think
but drop in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. You don't have to necessarily agree with us because clearly, as you can see, we don't agree with each other.
Jada is wrong. Who do y'all think is wrong? Have you had that conversation with your spouse about what do you need to do in those situations? Maybe you've been in another situation like that. What happens when they pop off? Do you pop off too, or you're the level-headed one? And so the thing is, if your spouse about to kill an old lady, do you go and stomp the old lady out too? Or do you go ahead and give it that? Love y'all, man. Mr. God, nothing and nothing you can do about it. Thank y'all. Come on back every Tuesday.
What ministry is she trying to join?